Mm. He would. It's true. Undeniable, even. Both names are 5 letters and everything. Mm-hmm. It's the connection, mind you. All right. Mm-hmm. You already know what it is. We solving the epitaph. Who up solving the epitaph? Yeah. Yeah. What even happened last time? It was a lot about the epitaph. That's right. What do you think, everyone? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else was going on. Yeah, probably. Probably. I'm just wondering what else. I guess it was just a lot of time dissecting the epitaph, huh? Aha! Okay, it's a good thing you
Audio check.
checked. Yeah.
I'm here. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was muted the whole time.
I simply looked Umineko, which is code word for schizophrenic.
Sorry, I'm just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, now we're good. Sorry, everyone. But this is why every time we do that audio check, just in case.
Yep. Ugh. Yeah. So yeah, spent a lot of time solving the epitaph last time. I guess that's it.
I will say it once again, just for the viewer's sake. I regret to inform all of you, if you were like, if you're watching this in VOD form and last episode you were so excited to see what I figured out with the quadrillion thing, I haven't gotten anything yet. Sorry. I'll try to have something on Thursday about it if it doesn't just spell it out for me in this stream, which I hope it doesn't, because I actually want to think about it on my own time. So,
I'm pretty sure it won't until. Actually, I don't think it ever does.
all right. Well, that's good. But yeah, Battler's the successor now, and someone's knocking on Kinzo's door.
True. Oh, of course, the main thing was that Erika Furudo revealed her interest in the epitaph, which was
of course,
not for the gold,
no,
but for a different pastime of hers.
the only
Which,
really
if you missed
one worth
last
mentioning.
episode, yeah, you can. If you want to hear more about our thoughts on it, watch tomorrow's Duranria video where we also talk about it.
Yep, it's just that stunning and brave.
Now.
Now,
Knock.
knock, 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 knock.
Yeah, that's.
The sudden sound of someone banging fiercely on the door brought Natsuhi to her senses. She had probably nodded off in the study while planning how they would overcome the next day. But what could it be at a time like this? More importantly, the knock itself was strange. If someone wanted to contact her, they could have just used the internal phone line. She'd told them that she'd be here. Realizing that something strange was going on, Natsuhi shook her head one more time, completely throwing off her drowsiness.
Father! It's Eva. I have an urgent, vital matter to discuss with you.
It was Ava's voice. What is this? I thought I told them to lock the doors and windows of the mansion tightly after everyone left for the guest house. So why is Ava here? Natsuhi ran up to the door, responded with a small knock, and spoke through the door in a quiet voice. Oh gosh, okay, wait.
Huh.
Natsuhi doing an impression of Kinzo. What is it? You're too noisy!
Huh. Immediately. Natsuhi-ne-san? Why are you in father's study at this hour?
Or maybe it was just her being her.
Maybe, but I like the idea that she immediately just gets outed.
I told you to be quiet. Have you forgotten that the head values peace and silence more than anything else?
Now's not the time to be saying that. Stop harping on that and open up quickly. Bring father out.
The head just went to sleep. I don't know what business you have, but I will deal with it tomorrow.
I don't have any business with you. Just open up right now.
Sometimes, multiple schemes and assumptions can fall apart due to the most direct, simple, and emotional of strategies. This is bad. If I open the door, Ava will probably throw herself forwards and rush into the study. Now, I can't even open this door. At that moment, the phone suddenly rang. It's okay. Both of the keys to the study are here. No one can open this door. Natsuhi inched away from the door and grabbed the receiver. Hello? It's Natsuhi. It's me. Things are bad. I want you to come down to the parlor quickly. It was from Kraus. His tone was strained. What in the world happened? It would seem that Battler-kun and this guest called Erika solved the witch's epitaph and found the gold. Huh? Is that true? Rudolph and the rest have forced their way in. They're saying Battler-kun will show everyone the way to the hidden gold. Right now... right now, Ava-san is just outside the study door yelling at me to open it. But if I do that now, she might push her way inside. I understand. I will go there too. Don't worry about Ava. Just stay there and don't do anything. I'll give you a signal once I've gotten Ava away from the door, so leave as soon as you hear that. Ready? Right after that, Kraus came up the staircase, accompanied by Genji. A heated debate started between him and Ava.
Oh, open up!
No, calm down. In the middle of that, there was a small knock as a signal. Kraus had cleverly pushed Ava away from the door and distracted her. During that gap, Natsuhi slipped out of the study and quickly shut the door. Ava noticed this, and her face twisted in disappointment. But the heavy sound of the auto lock had already rung out, and the door had been sealed.
The gold of the epitaph has been found. It's only natural that we should inform father about this. Or else what? Is there some reason you can't tell father about this? Father gave strict orders not to be awakened, no matter what, after he went to bed. Following those orders is the duty of the head's representative. Isn't that right, Genji-san? Yes. The master's sleep must not be disturbed, no matter what happens. Even a rule like that depends on time and circumstances, doesn't it? I mean, the epitaph was solved! Father has a right to know straight away!
Of course, the two of us will report on everything to the head tomorrow. That's our duty as the head's representatives.
I don't care about that! Come on, just open this door! Let me see father! Father, can you hear me? It's Ava! Please, open up! Ow, ow, ow!
Oh, sorry. Thought it was Kraus because he appeared.
Yeah. Let go of me! That hurts!
We're telling you to listen to us. Don't knock on the door so loudly.
Oh! Let go of me!
Kraus-sama, Eva-sama, the master is sleeping. Please refrain from disturbing him any further. When Genji spoke firmly, the two finally ceased their scuffle. It seemed that Genji, the one who had spoken for Kinzo since they were very young, still possessed an air of dignity strong enough to handle both Kraus and Eva. Eva put her argument aside for the time being. She could hold off worrying about that until after she saw the gold with her own eyes. After all, not even Eva had seen it for herself yet. Natsuhi and the others had managed to somehow deal with the momentary crisis, excuse me. So used to money talk.
Yeah.
However, the move of the demons that would sneer upon their efforts had already begun.
Battler. Solve the riddle of the epitaph, you say? Yes. Although we had a lot of help from that Erika girl, Battler was the one who reached the answer.
And you, Pops. You also helped.
Shh, don't blow my thing. Erika has proclaimed that she will abandon her rights to the Golden Land. Therefore, the one who reached the Golden Land is Battler. Fate can be truly amusing. To think that Battler-sama would make it there.
What will you do, Beato? You promised to stop the ceremony if anyone solved the epitaph's riddle.
Yes. That was the deal.
And no one has died yet.
Mm-hmm.
That was the deal. Indeed.
Apparently, Battler-sama does not intend to become the master of the Golden Land. It now seems that no one will become our master.
That is also fate. It has been several decades since we first manifested in the human world through our bond with Lord Goldsmith. The time since then has been so very fun.
Come on, Nia. You sound like an old lady. So, what are we going to do? If we go by Ricci and Goldsmith's rules, now that Battler solves the epitaph and decided not to become our master, we've been relieved from duty, right?
That's true. I have no regrets at all. I've been prepared to be kicked down into Cocytus all this time.
Wait.
Yeah, I was
Oh gosh.
Did
Is
you
it weird?
yawn in the middle of saying wait?
A little bit. Is it weird that my eyes felt like they were gonna blink, and so that made me like speak weird?
No,
I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I lost my focus. It was weird. But also I am voicing like I think 4 of the 5 characters in this conversation.
So true, Justice Sewer.
Oh.
So true, bestie. Speak your truth.
Well, go back to episode 2.
Yeah.
Anyway. Give me a second now.
Wait. We can't let that happen. You might not have any regrets, but I will keep on serving Natsuhi. It would be quite irresponsible to let ourselves be relieved from duty just because Battler solved the epitaph.
That's not how it works, Beatrice.
This is Lambda Delta's move of being like, wait, no, the game's already over?
Yeah.
Witches are forbidden from breaking contracts, but they also must not fail to show gratitude.
True. We should serve her until the family conference ends.
In that case, you won't be relieved from duty for a while either, Lord Goldsmith. Perhaps you should wait until you overcome this family conference safely, say goodbye to Natsuhi-sama at the very least, and if possible, reward her for all of her efforts.
Indeed. She has done well supporting my foolish son.
You're a fallen angel with one of its wings plucked off, aren't you? Just leave the other wing as a parting gift and go.
Indeed. Perhaps that would be fitting. Natsuhi may be worthy of bearing my wing. However, we are approaching the critical moment. Your reward is waiting for you. Try to make it through this test unscathed, Natsuhi. Meow.
Oh, we're going.
I didn't like that sound effect right off the rip.
What?
The drippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wet down here. It's a cave. It's dank.
Ooh.
The Mountain of Gold left everyone speechless. Now this time, Battler brought everyone here instead of it just being one other person like with Ava.
Yeah, so it's very hard to deny.
Yup. Regardless of how strongly they had believed in its existence, no one could look at this much real gold and not be shocked.
To think a place like this existed.
I can't believe it. That Dad... Everyone was stunned by the gold. The first one to break the silence and jump around in ecstasy was Hideyoshi. Letting out an excited laugh, he clung to the wall of gold. Then he felt the cold, hard touch of it all over his cheek. This is incredible! It's the real thing!
That damn dad of ours sticking this much gold in such a ridiculous place. And now that we have this much, we no longer have anything to fear. With this, we can overcome any kind of trial. Rosa! Nason, we'll be able to find happiness with this, right?
I'm waiting for Erika Furudo to be like, it's all Battlers, stupids. It's... And I'm going to defeat you with facts and logic.
Real.
Ava and Rosa moved towards each other at the same time and hugged as they broke down crying. Ecstasy and shock. Wonder and sighs. After stepping forward in front of the pile of gold that had caused these mixed emotions, Erika spoke, as though she were an announcer in some show.
If this world is money, then this gold is the embodiment of happiness. Congratulations, everyone. I pray that this discovery makes all of your lives richer.
I take my hat off to you. To think you'd solve the epitaph within a single day of coming to this island.
If you couldn't solve it in a single day, then you wouldn't be able to solve it no matter how many days you had. After all, it doesn't take more than an instant for your little gray cells to give you a flash of intuition. Also, I wouldn't have been able to solve this riddle myself. I ask that you praise Battler-san's achievement as well, everyone. I abandon any rights to this discovery. I'm already satisfied to have my reasoning proven correct. So I'd like to give Battler-san full credit. I may be here, but please continue your discussion as though I wasn't. Battler-san called all of the adults here, making sure that none of the cousins would notice. That could only mean one thing. He must have wanted to begin the true family conference with all of you.
Erika, quit deciding things on your own.
My apologies. In that case, I'll step down as the facilitator of these proceedings. So who will take my place?
Shrugging, Erika looked around at everyone. After a short period of silence, Ava made the first move.
You can't. Okay, we're just jumping into... None of us have forgotten the deal we made earlier today, right? Yeah. Divide it between the four of us with 2.5 billion for each. And then the successor gets another 10 billion.
But wait a second. Who decided that the one who discovers the gold becomes the successor?
Hold up, you won't be able to get away with that, Natsuhi-san. We've all been arguing based on that premise this whole time, haven't we? You really think you can pretend that that never happened now?
That's right. Weren't you the one worrying about how if one of the servants solved the riddle, they might consider themselves the successor?
But nowhere is it explicitly written that that's the truth, right?
You bastard! We were all aware of it, weren't we? That's right, Aniki. Are you going to change your position this late in the game?
Though it was never stipulated, I believe it was common knowledge between us. I don't see how you can suggest we ignore it completely. You can't just interpret the head's epitaph however you like! Where is it written that the one who finds the gold becomes the successor? The epitaph was decided upon by the head! You have no right to decide these things for yourselves!
Calm down, Natsuhi.
How could I calm down? Yes, I do find it quite impressive that Battler-kun solved the epitaph. I certainly believe he should be rewarded for it. However, it is clearly a stretch to suggest that he deserves half of everything. And you won't get away with the argument that the discoverer becomes the successor.
That's low, Natsuhine-san. That looks like a different Rosa face. Am I crazy? This is completely different from what you were saying earlier today. I agree. Though it was never stipulated, the fact that whoever solves the epitaph becomes the successor has always been the greatest unwritten rule we've had. It's not fair if you start complaining about that at the last second, right? Yeah, it isn't fair.
Anyway, this gold is Father's. We can't decide how it will be split up without Father's permission.
No way. That's low, Natsuhi-san. We were talking about this on and on earlier, right? Are you saying that whole conversation today was a bunch of bull? It just ain't right.
Why don't we just vote on it? Battler-kun, the one who found the gold, is the successor. My husband and I have no objections.
Dang. That's... Natsuhi's making a united front. She's managing to get Eva and Hideyoshi and Rosa to pick Battler over their own children.
Hate is a great inspirer. What about you, Rudolph and Kyrie-san? Rosa? No objections here. Nice going, Battler. I have no objections either. Battler-kun is the true successor, chosen by the epitaph. If you aren't satisfied, then why don't we just ask Father directly?
That's right. Like you just said, Natsuhine-san, Father is the one who wrote the riddle of the epitaph, and he's also the proper owner of this gold. In that case, shouldn't we talk to Father about this directly? How should Battler-kun, the person who discovered the gold, be treated? I believe Father is the only one capable of making such a decision.
Uh-oh.
But...
Didn't I tell you to calm down?
Rosa and Kyrie-san are right. Let's ask Father. Your turn is already over, Nissan, Natsuhine-san.
The turn is the chessboard.
Yeah. Bring Father out to us. We won't get anywhere with just you two. Let's begin the real family conference. Does this look like something you can put off just because he's tired? If we take this thing lightly, we'll have a massive problem on our hands. Hey, are you listening? We won't get anywhere with just you. Bring Father out right now.
This is the most aggressive I think we've ever seen Hideyoshi.
Yeah.
A family conference is always like this.
How the hell do I know?
They're probably always like this on the inside. Looks like they won't be able to get this figured out right now without Kinzo-san. To think he's being called out to settle his children's fight, even though it's been announced that he has only a short while to live. I wonder how he feels right about now. Imagining that, no, reasoning that out will be a treat.
The parents ignored Battler and Erika, and kept yelling at each other on and on. Even though Battler had more or less imagined that this sort of thing happened behind the scenes, this was the first time he'd seen it. He'd suspected it since 6 years ago, and he'd been able to get a pretty good idea of what this was like by the darkening expressions on his parents' faces when this time of year drew near. However, this argument his relatives were having before his very eyes was much more ugly than he'd imagined. That's why he was very glad that he'd called the adults out here without letting the cousins catch wind of anything. It's trickling. It's
It's the gold.
oh, okay. Sorry.
It's sweating. It's,
Perhaps because of everyone's paying so much attention to it, it's nervous. Perhaps because everyone was tired out from this seemingly endless argument, they took a short break. It was decided that this family conference inside the Golden Land should be moved over to the mansion. This place may have been gorgeous, like a VIP room, but there was no heating, and it was a little cold. It wasn't well suited for a long conversation. They thought of the possibility that someone might snatch the gold away while their backs were turned. But of course, no one could manage much with just human hands in a small amount of time when it's 10 tons of gold they're dealing with. In fact, it might be said that having this mountain of gold in the background was actually robbing them of the ability to make sound decisions. So they agreed to return to the mansion, in part so that they could regain their composure and continue the conference more cold-bloodedly.
Dang.
Then, if you would excuse me for the night. I imagine I'd just get in the way if I remained any longer.
Sure, sorry. Did we bother you too much?
Let us show our gratitude again tomorrow. Sorry for letting you see such an embarrassing side of us.
You said that you refused, but allow us to prepare a fitting portion out of gratitude for you as one of the first to discover the gold. Right, Nissan?
Yes. We know what you're capable of. I think you can grasp our current circumstances. 20 billion yen in gold isn't something they wanted out in the open. They didn't want an outsider like Erika telling people about it. Of course, Erika had already reasoned out that much. She wore an unpleasant smile on her face, as though she understood all too well. Grapus.
You don't need to worry about me.
Hey!
You don't need to worry about me. Of course, I have no desire to tell anyone else about this.
I feel like that's a flat lie. Because the whole point of you solving it out was so that you could tell the family about it.
And if I did, no one would believe me without proof.
That part's true.
I got to see something interesting tonight. It was quite a spectacle, so I'm more than satisfied.
Wow, the rare
Yeah.
Ava fan sprite.
Rare Eva fan open sprite.
I see. I guess it's not every day you see 10 tons of gold.
Seeing the gold was the spectacle? Of course not. Judging by Erika's dark nature, it's obvious what she's so happy about. I thought about telling her to just go away, but even I wanted to get out of this place. I tried to head back to the guest house along with Erika. Uh-oh. Not gonna happen, Bob, but you're the successor now, Battler. Have fun. However, Kyrie-san grabbed my shoulder.
You can't go, Battler-kun. Please come with us.
Yes, yes. You're now a real successor. You gotta have an audience with Father and have him acknowledge you right away.
That's something only the family head may decide. Don't make things up on your own.
Battler, I realize it'll be
Sorry.
a pain, but stick around with us for a bit longer. Don't say anything. Just stay quiet and keep your head down. Got it?
Just do whatever you want. It would have been easy to say that I had no interest in being the successor, but I was sure that would only add more oil to the fire. Even if I hadn't been ordered to keep quiet, staying shut up like a clam was clearly a good idea. In that case, would it really be so bad if they just let me go back to the guest house? Dad put his arm firmly around my shoulder, and I told him it was uncomfortable and to let go. However, he didn't pay attention to a word I said.
Yeah.
I've solved the epitaph, just like you wanted. when you were the game master, we'd always get those letters. Try and solve the epitaph. If you don't, I'll kill you all. Why did she want to make us solve the riddle of the epitaph? By solving it, we found a mountain of gold. Yippee for us. Thanks, Battler. And what about Beato? Does she gain anything by having us find the gold? Or does she lose something? As far as chessboard thinking tells us, people don't ever make moves that cause them to lose something. That means you must have something to gain by having us solve the epitaph. Or perhaps you want to lose something that you don't like.
No. This child has nothing to gain from having someone solve the epitaph.
Are you sure that's okay? Using red like that without her permission?
This child most likely wishes for it.
Virgilia, who had suddenly appeared there, quickly gave an answer to my question with the red truth. In the past, I sometimes guessed that Beato tried to make us solve the epitaph, because she wanted to make us find the gold's hiding place for her, so she could snatch it away. Is that wrong too?
Yes. In the first place, the gold of the Golden Land belongs to this child. She had absolutely no need to make someone find it for her or to snatch it away herself.
Of course. Beato is Beatrice the Golden. Isn't she the master of the Golden Land and the Ushiromiya family alchemist? That totally makes sense. However, that makes me even more confused. Even if someone exposed the answer to the epitaph's riddle, Beato has nothing to gain. No, to the contrary, her own gold might be stolen away. In that case, I'm understanding this less and less. I understand the epitaph murders. It might be revenge against the Ushiromiya family, or else a ceremony to revive her powers as a witch. After all, she's probably doing it because of some reason or goal of her own. But what's the point of her telling us to solve the epitaph? Whether we solve it or not, she has nothing to gain at all. In other words, the whole issue of whether the epitaph is solved or not is immaterial in Beato's eyes.
You're right. Whether the epitaph's riddle is solved or not, this child stands nothing to gain at all.
It doesn't matter whether it's solved or not. In other words, could we say that the epitaph's riddle itself is immaterial to Beato?
You're right. The epitaph's riddle doesn't have any meaning for this child. So even if you take it to an extreme and call the epitaph's riddle immaterial, it may not be possible to argue against your claim.
Beato, why are you making us solve the epitaph's riddle? If we liken the witch you are to a pair of scales, the epitaph's murders lie on one plate, and the riddle of the epitaph lies on the other plate. After all, she's saying she'll stop the epitaph murders if the epitaph is solved. In other words, the epitaph murders and the epitaph's riddle are worth the same to Beato. Like two sides on a balanced scale. That means that both the epitaph's riddle and massacring all the relatives are equally significant from Beato's point of view. But Virgilia's responded with the red truth. Regardless of whether the epitaph is solved or not, Beato has nothing to gain. If she has nothing to gain, then this epitaph's riddle is meaningless and immaterial to Beato. In that case, how much are the epitaph murders, which lie on the other side of the scales and are equal to the epitaph's riddle in value, worth to her? Think. Don't stop thinking. The epitaph murders and solving the riddle of the epitaph have equal worth. As long as the epitaph murders, which are Beato's goal each time, have this single way that they can be stopped. a way that she decided on herself. Both are worth the same thing to her. X equals Y. And whether the epitaph's riddle is solved or not, Beato has nothing to gain. Y equals 0. So in this case, what is X? Wait a sec. That means the epitaph murders are also meaningless and immaterial. Every time she performs these bizarre serial murders, she's willing to spend an incredible amount of effort to politely send advance notice, and then kills us one by one in accordance with the epitaph, never getting exposed. So, all of that is meaningless to her? I spun the chessboard around and searched through Beato's moves over and over. This is always the first place I stumble. The significance of the epitaph murders. Why did she have to commit serial murders in a way that reproduced the witch's epitaph? If she wanted to kill the whole Ushiromiya family for revenge, it'd be much simpler, safer, and more reliable if she just put poison into their dinner. Or else went around killing people, one by one, in the middle of the night while they were sleeping. However, on the first evening, Beato sent us a letter that sounded like an advance notice, and then carried out a 3-part serial murder with large gaps in between. The 6 people of the first twilight, the 2 people of the second twilight, the 5 people of the fourth and later twilights. We aren't fools. Once the first murders occur, we barricade ourselves in somewhere to stave off any further murders. Furthermore, we quickly suspect a culprit among us and start analyzing each other's alibis. As the victims increase, the number of suspects decreases automatically, and Beato's chances of success in the serial murder drop closer and closer to 0. All the epitaph murders are like she's strangling her own neck, making it harder to succeed in this serial murder she's attempting. All for a useless embellishment. All just for show. She's raising the difficulty of completing her own objective.
That does follow. She really is a strange child.
Did you know? In mystery novels, they call things like these epitaph murders plotline murders. I think you can split the possible motives for plotline murders like this into 3 groups.
And what are those?
Well, first off, maybe following the epitaph gives rise to misconceptions about evidence and alibis, which might benefit the culprit. Pretending to be dead and mixing yourself in with the victims would fit this pattern, as would committing murders that don't actually follow the epitaph, giving yourself an alibi by getting people to incorrectly guess the order of events.
I see. So perhaps she only made it look as though she was killing them in a ceremonial fashion, following the epitaph, when she was actually guiding their thinking in a manner that benefited her. I do find that intriguing.
However, in our games, the dead are truly down for the count thanks to the red. While she might have confused people in the world on the game board, she can't confuse us up here like that. In other words, the most obvious possible goal for her isn't the real one.
In that case, what are the other 2 possible reasons for carrying out plotline murders?
Another one is coincidence. A crime just happens to resemble the epitaph without anyone in particular trying to make it do so, and the witness mistakenly thinks it's a plotline murder. Humans try to find cause and effect in everything they see. If we think we know what something is, then that's how it looks to us.
I see. That's intriguing too. But would that really work? In this child's games, advance notice of the crime is always given before the murders of the first twilight. Also, I believe you've repeatedly found letters and circumstantial evidence that clearly show that the culprit is carrying out epitaph murders.
Yeah, that's right. It isn't a coincidence. From the very beginning, Beato's been advancing with the goal of making this look like a series of epitaph murders. We weren't mistaken about that. These are clear plotline murders. So this motive, or lack of motive, doesn't work either.
In that case, There's only one motive left, right?
The last one is because they want to show someone something. More specifically, fear. By following the epitaph, she gives the others clear notice in advance that the murders will continue. The survivors are in constant fear of the murders which they're certain will continue.
In other words, this child performed these epitaph murders to make someone feel the fear of death.
Or at least, that explained things pretty well. The grotesque mutilation of corpses and the dark decorations were all a show to terrify us.
To terrify whom?
Huh? Well, like I said, us. After hearing that one line Virgilia spoke so casually, my thoughts clouded over once again. Is it really sufficient to use the vague word, us? There are many humans in the Ushiromiya family. There's the head, and the one who holds the rank of his successor, grandfather, and Uncle Kraus. There's the relatives, who have some pull in the business world. On the other side, you have the young cousins, who usually visit at most once a year, and the unfortunate servants, who just happen to be on duty that day. Even if the culprit hates all of us, there should be clear differences in how much they hate some of us compared to others. So it should be possible to pick out people among us that the culprit especially wanted to terrorize or have revenge against. If we liken this to a kid eating dessert, isn't the strawberry on top of a shortcake the part you should eat last? No one tells you that you shouldn't eat it first, but our mentality encourages us to save it for later. In that case, the culprit would want to leave the person they hated the most until the end. Yeah, like that line by my favorite character in this novel I like. Something about how the worst way to kill someone is to murder those close to them first, make them as miserable as possible, and only kill the person then.
Oh my, that must have been quite a terrifying novel. How frightening.
In that case, you could argue that the people who stay alive until the end are the ones Beato hates the most. However, every single time, the order people get killed changes around completely. If we try counting up the people who live until the last twilight every single time, even though they do die in the end, I'm the only one.
Let me first speak with the red. Battler-kun isn't the culprit. Battler-kun didn't kill anyone. This can be said of all games.
Well, there goes Battler theory. Then that just makes it even more likely that it's me. It means that sole reason she had for bringing about the Epitaph's murders was to show them to me. Every time Beato brags that she'll choose whom to kill next with a roulette. However, I'm the only one she never kills. Though she does kill me in the end, she leaves me be until the very last moment. In all of these supposedly random games, there's only this one unchanging constant. She wants revenge? Against me? So, is she performing the Epitaph murders to make me feel fear?
That's wrong. Her goal is not to make someone experience fear, and it isn't to have revenge against someone either.
In that case, the Epitaph murders really don't mean anything to her. The Epitaph's riddle is meaningless, and the corresponding Epitaph murders are also meaningless. X equals Y equals 0. But even so, she's clearly trying to show these meaningless things to me. What could she want from me that'd be worth the same to her as something meaningless? I don't get it. The more I think about it, the less I understand what she's thinking. Oh, she didn't like that one, Badler. Beatrice, the fickle witch who committed a meaningless, worthless string of serial murders, even the epitaph's riddle, which that witch used as the trigger that could suspend the serial murders, is meaningless, immaterial. And yet, she's thrusting this meaningless, immaterial thing in front of my face. What is it that you want from me? Or else, what is it that you're giving me? My idea that Beato has clearly been taking revenge on me has already been denied by Virgilia's red truth. Both X and Y, both the epitaph murders and the epitaph's riddle, hold no meaning for Beatrice. X equals Y equals 0. However, since she's thrusting those things in front of me, they must have some meaning. She showed us the scales representing if you don't solve the epitaph, I'll carry out the epitaph murders. In other words, neither the epitaph murders nor the epitaph's riddle have any significance by themselves. However, it becomes meaningful when she puts both halves on the scales and puts them on display before us. No. Before me. In other words, it should be like this. X equals 0. Y equals 0. X plus Y is greater than 0. A scale with meaningless, weightless things on both sides. However, it has weight itself and gives the rest meaning. It's almost like playing. Like kids playing rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors is an extremely familiar method of randomly determining a winner and loser. You sometimes wager some sort of reward on the outcome. But kids often do rock, paper, scissors just to play, without betting anything in particular. Unless you bet something, you have nothing to gain or lose except happiness or frustration. In other words, the two sides of the scale, both winning and losing, are immaterial. However, the very act of seeing which way it will tip is the reason kids play rock, paper, scissors. After all, the kids are enjoying the communication that surrounds the game, and they aren't purely interested in the value of winning or losing. They aren't overly concerned about who wins and loses. That would mean it doesn't matter to Beato whether the epitaph murders succeed or not. It almost feels like she's just enjoying the process. In the past, I cursed her, deciding that she was a heartless witch who kept murdering people for no reason. But right now, I can't imagine that's true.
Thank you. In that case, I'll give you one more line of red. Beato never committed murder for the sake of pleasure.
She didn't do it for pleasure, and she didn't do it to make anyone feel fear. Since she has nothing to gain, she doesn't care whether the epitaph murders succeed or fail. It's almost like a random game kids would play. That's not right. It does have meaning. It has meaning for her.
And what is this meaning?
I don't get it. Even though both sides of the scale are immaterial, the scale itself has some weight to it in her eyes. Of course it isn't meaningless. Some meaning definitely exists. In the previous game, she urged me to remember my sin of 6 years ago. Am I supposed to believe that was meaningless, too? No. That definitely isn't the case. I clearly remember the serious gaze Beato had back then. Unfortunately, I didn't have a clue what she meant. When she saw that, she was horribly dejected. That's right. At that time, I'm sure even she went so far as to say that the crime wouldn't have occurred if I hadn't come. It does have meaning. It means something to her. And it's connected to something she wants from me. I laughed softly and poked Beato lightly on the head, then patted her head. Next time you want to send a love letter, I suggest you just write I love you. If you make it too roundabout and confusing, no one's going to be able to figure it out. I still don't have a clue what she's thinking. Even so, I won't stop thinking. I've only just started spinning the chessboard around. I definitely won't give up on this journey in search of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Hoof. Big battler talk. Battler yapping session. My poor throat.
The frantic golden drama is over. Now we move on to the true family conference.
Battler's slowly getting on to something, though. He's figuring something
Yeah.
out.
He's a-working. He's a-working.
Battler did nothing but gaze blankly out the window. The fighting between the relatives went on without end.
Yeah.
At first, the relatives had crowded around the study. However, no matter how much they knocked, the master of the study did not answer even once. Eva and several others said that they should open the door with the second key, the one Genji held. However, in a flash of brilliance, Natsuhi said that Kinzo had been in a particularly bad mood and had taken back the key he'd previously given Genji, which meant that he now had both keys himself. She claimed that this was the reason they couldn't open the door. After she promised to let them meet Kinzo tomorrow morning, no matter what, they finally returned to the dining hall. But of course, the argument continued on even there. Eva's group needed a lot of cash very soon, and they were trying to threaten Kraus somehow to make him pay up. Apparently, Battler solving the epitaph threatened Kraus's position as the successor, which gave the others a powerful tailwind. On the other side, Kraus and Natsuhi based their argument on the claim that it had never been specified that ownership of the gold would be handed over to the person who solved the epitaph. It hadn't been hidden gold, but simply Kinzo's stockpile, and it was still Kinzo's property, which meant it would naturally be distributed after Kinzo's death with the rest of the inheritance. Once they made that claim, Eva's group once again started demanding to be allowed to see Kinzo. It had probably been obvious to them from the beginning. This sibling fight could only be settled by Kinzo. This was obviously a confrontation between Eva's group, which wanted cash fast, and Kraus, who was hiding his lack of funds but still didn't need money right away. As he listened vaguely to this exchange, Battler marveled at how, despite their usual affluent airs, they were surprisingly deep in debt. Didn't you say the same thing a short while ago? Enough. Let's take a break. We're all repeating the same things over and over again. According to the clock, it was almost midnight. It certainly was a perfect time for a break. The atmosphere relaxed, just a bit.
I agree. It'll be good for both sides to take a breather. Hey, why don't we start keeping a record when we start up again? I'm tired of fighting over what was or wasn't said.
Seriously, we really can't do without a record of proceedings. Not when Nissan can so easily deny something he said before the words stop reverberating off the walls.
Wake up, Erika. She'll be the, what's it called? The recorder.
A mere written record would be a pain, and it'd be an easy target for forgery.
Good point. Aniki, wanna fire this up?
A tape set, is it? I see. This way, we can keep a record without bothering to write it down, and forgery will be impossible. It's fair for both sides.
And make sure you don't mess anything up. Those are Father's precious music tapes.
The dignified tape set had a sense of weight to it that matched this majestic dining hall perfectly. Okay, Umineko.
What?
On pleasant Sunday mornings, it would sometimes be used to play famous tapes or records.
It's a really pretty tape set.
However, right now, it was the most neutral and impartial conference record keeper around. Rudolph fished randomly around the cassette rack, searching for a blank tape. And every time he found some tape with sophisticated music on it, he'd complain about how pompous it was. Come on, Dad. Elvis. Really? No. Pardon me. You called?
We're taking a break. Sorry, but could you make us something to drink? And maybe some biscuits would be nice too.
Certainly. I will see to it right away.
Also, sorry, but do you have any cold medicine? I've been feeling a bit feverish.
Then don't overstrain yourself. Get some sleep.
If you really feel like it, why not get some sleep, Rosa? Of course, I wouldn't step out of such an important conference because of a simple cold.
Yeah, this was before the pandemic. They don't get it.
Mm-mm.
Really? Allow me to take a rest as well. Natsuhi, why don't we take a short rest too?
Yes, dear.
Sensing that he meant to have a strategy meeting, Natsuhi stood up. Even if that hadn't been the case, she was so desperate to get out of the room, even for a moment, that she'd have taken any excuse. Kraus and Natsuhi left the dining hall, and the tension in the room truly relaxed.
You've been doing great, Badler-kun. I imagine you feel just horrible. Think of this as part of growing up and just accept it.
Just how long am I going to have to sit around here doing nothing?
Who knows? After all, you're like our own portable shrine. Sleepy?
About as much in... Huh? About as much in as your average school class. Okay, yeah, that is correct, I think. No, that's not. No, as and in need to be swapped.
Yeah.
About as much as in your average school class.
I'm pretty sure Father isn't going to show up tonight anyway. When Kraus, Nissan, and the rest come back, I'll propose that we might as well let you go.
I'll be counting on you. Knock, knock. A light knock, and the faint sound of china clinking together could be heard. OMG, shot on high!
Excuse us. We brought tea.
Shannon and Canon had come by with a serving cart. The pleasant smell of black tea had the effect of relieving a bit of the tension.
Hey, did you hear?
Hear about what?
We haven't heard anything. Stop it, Rudolph. There's no reason to tell them. We are furniture, so we have no interest in matters concerning the family conference. I see. That's a wise answer. You have the midnight shift? That must be rough.
That is our job. We would be happy to receive your orders.
Makes sense to me. At least that'd be better than sitting around awake doing nothing. When I was still down in the bottom rungs, I once worked as a warehouse keeper. Even if you're just staying awake, it's still pretty tough. Right after the war, you had robbers all over the place. Plus, you couldn't rely on the police back then, so it was a pretty dangerous time.
Hideyoshi was particularly proud of how he'd started with nothing and built up assets by illegally diverting goods from the American Army. Oh, that's how he did it, huh?
Well, how about that?
Although I'm not sure if attitudes have changed, but as far as I am aware, people in Japan were not too particularly fond of the American Army during the occupation period, so...
Yeah.
Other Japanese people would also probably be like, yeah, go Hideyoshi! Once the subject came up, Hideyoshi tended to get pretty talkative. The relatives who knew this were greatly relieved to see that a perfect sacrifice had come up. Sacrifice?! Umineko, except all of the sacrifices are entirely metaphorical and everyone lives.
Oh, yeah.
If you got found out, you were in for it big time. Those Americandy people are scary. Their strength's in another league because of all that beef they eat.
True.
If you got caught, it ended with them shooting you or death by hanging. Get it? Death by hanging? Oh yeah, and then I figured it out.
I don't get it.
It's all about the meat. Japanese people gotta eat more meat. And that's when I got the revelation that I needed to start up a business to win over people's stomachs.
I was gonna say he's in the restaurant industry. What? How did that? But there it is.
I see. That must have been quite a difficult task.
Stop it, dear. No matter how much you tell people born after the war, they'll never understand how we suffered back then.
Oops. Looks like my bad habits jumped out again. Sorry.
You two should have some tea as well. Every now and then, I think it might be helpful for you to use your own tongues to learn more about the tea you're always brewing. No, we'll be fine. There's no need to be concerned for our sakes.
Hang out with us for a bit. Being surrounded by adults makes me feel like I'm gonna suffocate.
Hear that? That's an order for Battler-sama, the successor.
Rudolph!
Sit over there and have some tea with us.
Don't tell them.
Then you can talk about recent events, your hobbies, TV shows you're watching, whatever it is that's popular with the kids these days. There's a lot we could learn.
That's a brilliant idea. Come on, you two, sit down too. And why don't you become sacrifices for us now that we crave something to talk about?
Stop saying that word.
That's right. I thought it'd be nice to talk to some young kids, but that'll be pretty hard when I'm too old to even get to a cabaret club.
How long are you planning on standing around there? Rudolph told you to sit. Sit down. I give you permission as well.
After getting Ava's permission, Shannon and Canon looked at each other and finally obeyed, nervously. For a while, the two were pounded with questions and became the relatives' playthings. Are there any boys you like? Oh,
True.
No, don't ask Shannon that. Wait. Don't.
You can ask Ken on that, though.
Then, a reserved knocking sound could be heard. All of the servants tended to knock in a similar manner, so no one found it strange. However, Shannon and Canon turned around with surprised looks on their faces.
No way.
The servants here today included the two of them, Genji, Kumasawa, and Goda. Goda had the midnight shift at the guest house. Kumasawa had gone to bed in a spare room in the guest house. The two of them were right here. So Genji was the only person left. But they knew very well that Genji wouldn't knock like that. So it was a ghost!
Then who was phone?
No, the phone is connected.
True. Who is it? It's not locked, just come in.
Rudolph didn't recognize the knock either. When he asked who is it, it became apparent that no one knew whose knock it was. I mean, could be Erika. After that, the same knock knock repeated just once more. Could it be that someone had their hands full and was asking that the door be opened for them? A slightly odd feeling began to encompass the room. The sound of the large clock in the hall could be heard. It was a sign that October 4th had ended, and October 5th had begun.
True.
How many people are outside of this room right now? 6?
A handful.
Erika, George, Jessica, Kumasawa, Goda, Genji,
Maria.
And
then technically Kraus
Natsuhi
and
and
Natsuhi
Kraus.
are out.
That's 8. So more than enough for the first Twilight. Let's step back in time a bit. At this time, Kraus and Natsuhi were a ways off in a deserted corridor on the second floor. So, we no longer have any other options.
Yes. The same move probably won't last us all day tomorrow. If we hesitate any longer, there's a chance Eva-san and the others will call the police, claiming that we have father locked up somewhere. This is as far as we can go. Patler-kun finding the cold was completely unexpected. If that hadn't happened, I'd thought of a plan which might have managed to get us through this somehow.
This always happens when I bet on something. Something unexpected always happens, and something that should have been an absolute certainty goes wrong.
Let's arrange for Father's room to be empty starting tomorrow morning. Let's plan it out with Genshi and have him say he saw Father heading out into the forest early in the morning.
I doubt Ava and the others will simply accept such a disappearance.
I'm fully aware of that. However, we have no other options.
If we do such a thing, Ava and the others will doubtless make a fuss that our actions were suspicious. They aren't worried about appearances as long as they can squeeze some money out of us. It might end up in some odd magazine and cause serious damage to the confidence placed in me.
Damage is something we can live with, right? If by any chance Father's secret is discovered, we'll face a lot worse than mere damage.
There's nothing wrong with persisting until the last possible second tomorrow. If we're able to make it through safely, we won't have to lose anything. There's no need to get impatient and use that trump card.
You want to wait until after they start clamoring about how we've locked Father up, and then say he's gone missing? That way would invite much more suspicion. Let's just put Father to rest now. To go any further would be impossible.
Calm yourself. Being exposed to Ava and the others' venom too much has made you lose your composure, that's all. Only 2 keys exist that can let anyone into that study. And you have both of them, right here. That means no one can go inside. That door is of a very special make. No matter what kind of tools they bring out of the storage room, it won't even budge.
It isn't a physical problem like that.
Please don't be hasty and calm down. In any event, you can pretend that you've gotten a fever and stay in bed. In the meantime, I will overcome all of this for you.
I can't leave everything to you. I'll fight until the end, too.
When Natsuhi could no longer hold back the tears brought on by her fierce emotions, Kraus held her gently. Just how long had it been since the last time she'd felt the warmth of her husband's compassion? Your headache must be awful, yes? It's always that way when you wrinkle your forehead like that.
Dear.
She had come to think that her husband could never guess the way she felt. But at times like this, let's wait for the very last moment before using our disappearance trump card. It's like a last resort treasured sword. It's best when it remains in its sheath. The important thing is that you're ready to pull it out at any time, right?
I understand that.
Would you let me handle that trump card? Of course, at the final moment, I will take all of the responsibility. I won't get you and Jessica involved.
What do you mean by that?
When the Ushiromiya family is destroyed, it is enough that I alone am crushed in the rubble. When the typhoon passes, let's make sure we're ready to file for divorce. I will sign the papers and let you hold on to them. I've secretly left some of my assets in your name. If you add on some compensation money, that should be enough for you and Jessica to live on without any hindrances.
No! Ushiromiya Natsuhi is the name that should be engraved on my tombstone. Please, Let me be with you until the last moment. Even if it turns out that you're the last head of the Ushiromiya family. Please let Natsuhi be the name of the wife of the final head. Your wife.
Krause's existence was founded solely upon the trust and power of his assets as a financial fixer. If either of those weakened, nothing would remain. If they used the trump card of Kinzo's disappearance, they would lose one of those two essential supports. It was like offering your right arm in exchange for your neck being cut. It was probably better than losing your head, but you still might die from the blood loss. And even on the off chance that you did survive, you'd have to bear a heavy wound that wouldn't heal for the rest of your life. Krause was prepared even for death. Understanding this, Natsuhi buried her face in Krause's chest and cried. My apologies for interrupting. The sudden appearance of Genji's voice made Natsuhi jump back and hurriedly wipe the tears from her eyes. Krause stood in front of Natsuhi, shielding her. Ah, Genji-san, please don't sneak up on us. Do you have some business? Yes. My apologies, but I have something to report to Madam.
To me? Dear?
I don't mind. Krause left Natsuhi's side, went to a window a short ways off, and gazed at the windy and rainy rose garden. Natsuhi went with Genji to a place a short distance away.
What is it?
Well, the truth is, another phone call has come for you, madam. At that moment, a sudden, eerie sound surprised her. It was the large clock in the hall announcing midnight.
You don't mean that man? Again?
Yes. What is to be done?
Did he say what business he had with me?
I can give you no answer on that matter. He kept insisting that he wanted to speak to you directly. Again, a phone call from the man who claimed to be taking revenge for something that happened 19 years ago. 19 years ago. That was just 1 year before Jessica and Battler were born. In Natsuhi's eyes, the gap between 19 years ago and 18 years ago was immense. For a long time, she had been unable to fulfill her role of creating a successor for the Ushiromiya family, and had been treated very coldly. But then, she finally gave birth to Jessica, and became able to call herself the Ushiromiya successor's wife with her head held high. So in her eyes, Ushiromiya Natsuhi began 18 years ago. That's why everything before that, including the events of 19 years ago, contained nothing but hateful memories. And something from the last year of that hateful period is whispering vengeful words from the other end of the phone.
I can still hear the roar of the sea.
What is to be done?
Transfer it to my room. Don't let my husband know.
As you wish. From the very beginning, Genji had guessed that she wouldn't want Krause hearing about this phone call. That's why he had told Natsuhi covertly. Natsuhi ordered that he transfer the call, told Krause that she would turn in for the night, and left at a quick pace. she returned to her room and locked the door. There was nothing peculiar about that. In the Ushiromiya family, hallways are like public roads. There's no special meaning in locking the door when you enter your own room. This is what she told herself. Then, as though it had been waiting for her, the telephone rang. Genji had probably transferred the call. She took a deep breath, readied herself, and picked up the receiver.
Hello?
Again, it started with silence. She realized that the person at the other end was trying to irritate her and make her feel uncomfortable, and she got angry.
Why are you silent? I'm hanging up!
Do not hang up, Mother. I want to hear your voice a little longer. Again, that unpleasant voice.
Are you trying to mock me? Tell me what you want.
I want to play with you, Mother.
What? What are you talking about? I have no desire to play with you.
You're tired from the family conference, right? Is that chronic headache of yours getting to be a pain?
That's none of your business.
Just the fact that he knew her headache was troubling her made a shiver run up her spine. You get headaches because your head is all stiff. If you go straight to bed like that, you cannot expect to have good dreams.
Haven't I told you that's none of your business? I'm hanging up.
Natsuhi forcefully yelled that she was hanging up, but in actuality, she couldn't. After all, being at the receiving end of a phone call was much better than the alternative. If she hung up violently, this person might then call someone else. Let us play a game to help you relax. I will not take up much of your time.
I have no intention of playing with you.
Your name is Natsuhi, Mother. It has the kanji for a season in it. Pretty nice name. However, just because your name is Natsuhi, that does not necessarily mean you like summer. Which season do you really like, Mother?
You think I'll tell you?
If you do not, I will hang up. Is that all right? It was clearly a threat. It meant that if she forced him to hang up the phone, anything might happen. Humiliated that she was forced to give in to a threat made by a man whose name she didn't even know, she gave him the answer she wanted.
It's autumn.
Why?
Because it's an easy season to pass the time in. There's no other reason in particular. Are you satisfied now?
Yeah, I am satisfied. So, it looks like your favorite season really is the same as mine. I like autumn too.
Liar. You just made that up.
Surely this man would have done the same thing no matter which season I said I liked.
What is he after? What's so fun about making me uncomfortable like this?
It's not nice to call someone a liar. I'm not making it up. I already knew you liked autumn, Mother. There's even proof.
Proof?
Yeah. Is there a clock in your room, Mother?
Clock? Yes, there is. But what is your point?
In Natsuhi's room, there was a beautiful antique clock with an intricate design. Kraus had bought it for her as a birthday present long ago.
It's seven after midnight right now. I'm tired, so please get this farce over with quickly.
Try lifting the clock up.
Why?
You really do not know when to shut up. Stop resisting every single time I say something. Just shut up and do what I say. The tone of the man's voice suddenly went low, turning into a threat. It made his displeasure clear. At first, this man seemed to have a calm way of speaking, but on the inside, that wasn't the case at all. If she enraged this man even a little more, he would surely show his true nature right away. Are you really that eager to make me hang up? Things are best when I talk on the phone with you. I could tell your husband and daughter about what happened 19 years ago anytime I want to.
I don't know what you're talking about, but please don't get my husband and daughter involved. I'm listening to everything you say.
Then just do what you are told. Once again, the man threatened her in a low voice, as though warning her not to interrupt again.
My head was filled with the pain from my headache, the sound of my beating heart, and the roar of the sea. I can't disobey him anymore. As the man had ordered, I lifted up the antique clock. Huh? There lay what appeared to be a single playing card. Huh? Is it the warranty for the clock?
Thinking this, she took it and turned it over. Are you wide awake now?
What? Why? Why is this here?
Well, it would please me if your headache's gone down a bit. Tell me that you're happy, Mother.
How did you? Why? How?
I want to hear you say you're happy, murderer. How dare you act like a normal, neat freak mother? You make me want to vomit. Do you want that to land on your husband and daughter as well? You don't, right? You want me to keep quiet, don't you? Okay, I'll keep quiet. Come on. Aren't you happy? Aren't you?
I'm happy! I'm happy! So please stop! Don't bring my husband and daughter into this! What is it you want? Money? How much?
I do not want money. My wounds could not be healed with any amount of money. But there is a medicine. That is right. It's like a kind of ointment. Thick, syrupy, and dribbling. And that is my hatred. My resentment towards you. Slathering myself with that is the only way to hold back the pain. Natsuhi had never had anything so hateful said to her in her entire life. So she suspected many times that she must be having some sort of bad dream. However, this definitely wasn't a dream.
You couldn't possibly be on this island right now, are you?
I am. Did I not promise you? I said I would be at the family conference.
That's impossible! There's no way you could have come during this typhoon!
That would be no problem if I came before the typhoon reached here. And I'm pretty sure this guest called Erika or whatever arrived even during the typhoon. Her blood froze. Furudo Erika had supposedly been brought here by coincidence. If he knew that name, he would have to be very close by.
Where are you?
I will not appear in front of anyone until you introduce me. Do not worry. Oh yes, it is useless to try and search for me. Your mansion is huge, and you have no shortage of phones I could be calling from. Besides, I'm sure you do not want to meet me, right? Or else, do you want to expose me and introduce me to everyone? Introduce me to Jessica, too. Tell her I'm your older brother by 1 year.
Stop it. Stay away from Jessica.
I guess I've scared you a bit too much. That is all from me. For tonight. But do not forget, you cannot disobey me. Understand, Mother?
Yes.
I'm going to hang up for the night, but I have an order that must be followed until tomorrow morning.
What is it?
You may no longer leave that room tonight, and you may not make a phone call to anywhere. If a phone call comes for you, you're not allowed to take it. You will turn the lights off right now, get in bed, and sleep. Then you will wake up at your ordinary time. It sure is nice to live a healthy life. I really am such a good son, working so hard for the sake of my mother's body.
I understand. I'll go to sleep right now. I won't leave my room and I won't pick up the phone. So don't involve my husband and daughter.
As long as you follow my orders, I will keep your secret, Mother. Do not disobey me. I am already very close by to you. I can easily tell whether you have turned off your lights, whether you are on the phone. If I wish to, I could even kiss your sleeping face.
I'll keep it. I'll keep my promise. So stop it. Just stop it. Stop it!
As she screamed, Natsuhi took the card she had found under the clock and crushed it up into a little ball. It had a pattern on it like a tarot card, and also the kanji for autumn. Jeez.
Yeah,
It's a me show today.
indeed.
Who did Natsuhi kill?
That's exactly it, isn't it?
She got called a murderer.
Did something 19 years ago.
Let's step back in time once again.
Okay, Mother.
Right now, it is the exact moment the large clock in the dining hall announced midnight. Wondering who the person who knocked twice was, the relatives in the dining hall stared at the door. Rudolph told them to come in, but there was no answer. Until the end of that long tone marking the arrival of midnight, which had come from the large clock in the hall shortly after the knock, they were unable to move in the slightest. Maybe their hands are full and they can't open it.
Maybe. But it's a bit creepy that they won't say their name. Should I open it? Do so.
Kanon nodded back and slowly opened the door. It's just Kumasawa.
True. Ah, what's that?
Oh.
It's one of Father's envelopes.
Lambda literally heard Battler being like, "Man, there's no letters this time. That's weird." And she was like, "Dang it! I forgot to put in the letters."
Quickly, quickly!
Right behind the open door, on the floor of the hallway, lay the envelope. Although I guess technically this is like a pre-recorded game board.
Yeah,
we're
this
just
is
going
the
through what already
playback.
happened.
Yeah. Maybe Byrne did the same thing. Funny you didn't do a letter this time. What? No.
Oh, I like that you were switching it up and you didn't do a letter this time. Shit, she's good.
Yeah.
There's no one in the hallway. Perhaps they placed this here and left.
The adults flew out into the corridor as well, but they could find no trace of anyone who might have knocked on the door. Just about an hour ago. Oh my goodness, sorry. Something got caught in my throat there. Just about an hour ago, Shannon and Kenneth had come in to serve tea. That was an hour. Oh, well, I guess it did say that, like, they were being grilled by questions for a while.
Yeah.
I was about to be like, that felt like nothing. At that time, everyone had seen that nothing lay in that spot. Someone came, knocked, left an envelope with the mark of the one-winged eagle on it, and left.
Could it have been the master?
It's this 19th person.
It's not unthinkable. The father's pretty much the only person in this mansion who would refuse to answer when asked who he was.
That's not possible. If that were the case, why wouldn't Father come in here openly?
He hates you.
Yeah.
That's right. Father'd probably just barge in here without knocking. The doors and windows of this mansion are locked now, right? In that case, the only people who could have conceivably left a letter there are Kraus-san, Natsuhi-san, and Genji-san.
By this point, the mansion had been completely locked up. It's one giant closed room. Therefore, the cousins in the guest house, Nanjo, Gora, Kumasawa, and Erika, could not have come here. Furthermore, since Kraus, Natsuhi, and Genji were the only three who weren't in this room, one of those three had to have been the one who set the letter down in the corridor. So it was very likely that Kraus and the others had placed the letter there to make it seem like a message from Kinzo.
I see. It'll have something written on it that's supposedly in Father's name, saying that he won't accept Balor as the successor, or something of the sort. Ridiculous. I can't believe you try to pull such a childish trick, Nissan.
Well, it's not like I give a damn about being the successor. Careful, battler.
Give it up. That's just your fate. Anyway, why don't we read what's inside?
Rudolph set the letter on the dining hall table and let everyone see the front and back to show that there were no tricks or hidden mechanisms. Almost like a magician does before performing his act.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Same.
Can we be sure this envelope is one of Father's?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Father liked to use this kind of envelope for handwritten letters. What do you think, Shannon-chan?
Yes. To my eyes as well. It looks like the type of envelope that the master uses.
That doesn't mean Father was the one who wrote it. It would be pitifully easy for Nissan to snatch one of these from a drawer in Father's study.
Even Kraus-sama would not be able to enter the study easily. It might be hard for him to steal an envelope.
Let's try opening it. We can worry about all that later. Feels like there's something in it. Wonder what?
Tiny bomb. Rudolph opened the envelope a bit roughly. Then, a folded letter. And a gold glittering object fell out. It was a ring.
Huh? Wait a second. Isn't that ring?
Eva noticed it immediately and grabbed at it.
This is Father's ring, isn't it? It's the head's ring!
Well, what in the... Seriously?
Are you sure it's Father's? Could it be a replica?
No, this is the real thing. I've always dreamed about wearing this ring on my finger someday. Even though Father wore this on his finger, I know more about it than anyone else. This is Father's ring, no doubt about it. Why is it here? Does this mean it really was Father who wrote this letter? The sender isn't Father. It's much more interesting than that.
Then, who is the letter from?
The Ushiromiya family alchemist. It's from the Golden Witch Beatrice-sama.
Rudolph showed everyone the part of the letter where that was written. It really did say that.
It's from Beatrice?
What's it say?
I'll read it. Congratulations. I acknowledge the Battler-sama spectacularly solved the Epitaph's riddle and reached the Golden Land. All the gold belongs to Battler-sama. Furthermore, Battler-sama is the new head of the Ushiromiya family. As proof, I send the head's ring, which Kinzo-sama left in my charge. Battler-sama, I beg that you take the ring, become the new master of the gold, and guide the Ushiromiya family.
She wants him so bad.
Please, please, please. I sincerely pray that you flourish as the new head. What the hell? I see. Dad just won't come out of his study, so Beatrice, the Witch of the Forest, has acknowledged Battler directly. Battler-kun, you take that ring. This is a special ring to be worn by the family head. I don't know who this Beatrice is, but she's watched the whole thing and sent you this ring after acknowledging you as the true successor.
Is that okay? It's such an important ring.
Yeah, it's fine. You should wear it proudly on your finger. Got it? Even if Aniki and Natsuhi tell you to take it off, you better not do it.
All of the relatives, with creepy smiles on their faces, urged Battler to put the ring on his finger. It looked like things would get pretty nasty if he refused, so Battler had reluctantly decided to put it on the middle finger of his left hand. Now you're married to Beatrice and can't take it back!
Ha ha ha! Oh gosh! Oh.
Dang!
She got vengeance! Oh.
Yeah, it's not funny, Pertuset. The ring was heavy and stiff. Dang, perfect timing, Kraus.
What are you guys up to? Ah!
At that moment, Kraus returned. Genji came back as well, shortly behind him. My apologies. It seems my wife is not at her best, so she's gone to bed early. Did something happen? You all seem incredibly flustered. Battler-sama, isn't that... Immediately, Genji keenly spotted that which Battler had just put on his finger.
Your eyesight's pretty good, Genji-san. Looks like you know whose ring this is.
What? What are you talking about? Judging by Kraus's dubious expression, it seemed unlikely that he was the one who had placed the letter there. Furthermore, that expression quickly changed into one of shock.
That's right, it's the Ushiromiya family head's ring.
The family conference took up this new topic, and the storm came once again. Oh, well, we're not gonna sit in. We're not gonna. Okay.
Nope, we're good. We're done. That's all we needed.
Yeah, we already know
dang.
how it's gonna go, anyways.
Oh dang.
Shoo!
3:05, 3:01, 3
something.
3 and 5 seconds.
The rain was still pouring down as hard as ever. This weather was supposed to continue all day tomorrow as well. Oh, I guess I'm Battler. Which made me feel a bit depressed. Oh, wait. Given the time, I should say today, not tomorrow. But that doesn't really matter now. I'm sleepy. Maybe this isn't Battler, I'm not sure. With half-asleep eyes, I open my umbrella.
I believe this is.
Large drops of rain pounded mercilessly against it. Technically, the end of the family conference had been declared at 1 a.m., but the external scuffles kept continuing sluggishly. I'm really jealous of Aunt Rosa, who managed to slip out of there at that time. She clearly got away by saying that she'd check in on Maria, who might have been staying up too late. Dad caught me, ruining my chance to escape, and they made me stick around until now, 3 a.m. So what have they decided on after all this time? Nothing at all. They just kept on arguing about who said what, like elementary school kids. I'm sure they're tired too. That's probably why they keep dragging on with the same pointless questions. I no longer felt any shock or anger towards them. I guess drowsiness is the best painkiller. I left them behind, and finally returned to the guest house. When I got back to the guest house, the first floor lounge was lit. They were having a party and everything. I could even hear people chatting inside. Apparently, some people were still awake even this late.
They're having fun.
Despite the late hour, Goto-san and Dr. Nanjo were still up and chatting. Plates and cups were lined up on the counter, and it looked almost like a bar with Goto-san as the bartender. When they noticed that I had returned, they seemed to finally realize how late it was. When Goto-san made to top off Dr. Nanjo's glass, the latter declined with an exaggerated gesture.
That's enough, that's enough. It's already too late to be up. Oh, look how late it's gotten. You were such a good person to chat with, I hardly noticed. If so, it's all thanks to your liquor. We'll have to do this again sometime. Yes, gladly. Butler-sama, welcome back. Is the discussion with Cross-sama and the others still continuing?
From the way things were going, it looks like they might plod on till dawn.
Until dawn!
I did the same thing.
None of my business. I spoke carelessly, with a big yawn.
Oh, it literally is your business now, though, bucko.
Mm-hmm. Hi.
They have quite a lot of stamina. I'm surprised.
Oh. So you're here too.
With one thing and another, they ended up having a small night party here. And they let me join in. Don't worry, I haven't said a word about that.
Knowing the context of what she calls herself, it makes it sound even worse.
Yeah.
Erika could be seen on the sofa. She had taken her shoes off and was lounging around as though she owned the place. Whose toes are those?
Erika-sama is very knowledgeable on a variety of subjects. I enjoyed listening to her immensely. Your knowledge truly is extensive. Very impressive for one so young.
You're very welcome. I, Furudo Erika, know quite a bit about trifles such as this.
Erika grabbed the corners of her skirt and posed. This was somewhat less than graceful, considering that she was lounging on the sofa with her feet up. Where's Aunt Rosa?
She returned at 1 a.m., but she went straight upstairs to sleep.
That's probably true. After taking part in that conference for so long, I felt like flopping down in bed right away myself. I've had it. I'm tired enough that I might flop over right here.
Well then, let's call it a night. Don't you have to get up early tomorrow morning to make breakfast, Goto-san? Preparations for breakfast have already been made. I would be most pleased if you look forward to it.
In Goto-san's eyes, the family conference is an open stage on which to display his culinary skills. Maybe this invigorates him so much that he doesn't even get sleepy. Erika stood up, laughing at how youthful Goto was. This became a sign that it was time to disperse.
I will clean up here. Please, go and sleep, everyone.
Leaving the cleanup to Goto-san, I went to the bathroom and then climbed upstairs to the second floor.
Good night, everyone. These old bones have stayed up a little too late.
Good night, Dr. Nanjo. Good night, Butler-san.
Yeah, good night. Then, in the second floor hallway, we split up. Dr. Nanjo went to his own room. Erika went to her room. And I returned to the cousin room. It's making a point to show us this, and I want to know why. I couldn't hear any sounds coming from our room. Could they have fallen asleep already? No surprise at this time of night. If they were still playing, they would have been staying up way too late. When I opened the door quietly, as expected, the room was already pitch black except for a small nightlight. Everyone was already sleeping in their beds. I'm sure they all had a great time and played a ton. Then they probably talked about youthful things and enjoyed staying up late. If only I hadn't found the gold, I could have enjoyed my time with them. I'm already tired. So tired. Forgetting even to change my clothes or brush my teeth, I crawled into bed and immediately began to descend into the marshes of sleep. Marshes is new. I've never heard that one. Today's been so insane. I wonder if that old bastard is still in that family conference now. How does he not get tired? Come to think of it. What was that? What was it that old bastard said when we parted company?
Tomorrow, there's something important I want to talk about. It's a family. It's about you.
Oh, not again. And now I have more of an idea of what that is. I'm sure it's more stuff about being the successor. I don't even want to hear about it. Well, it is probably related to your family.
If I tell you about this, I'll probably be killed.
I'll kill you whenever you want, you old bastard. And then, what was it he said next?
It's about your birth.
We didn't get that one the first time. My birth? Probably just something about the noble Ushiromiya lineage. Not interested. Just let me sleep.
Good night.
And now he's gonna be dead, and we're never gonna get to know.
And that chapter's over. That was the true family conference.
That took like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Let me see if there was any funny things. Deep blue jeer in parentheses. The caller speaks again.
The sound of crashing waves. The sound of the tide surging. The noise of the sea breeze.
Whenever my headache torments me, these are the sounds that fill my head.
Oh wait, I got one. I gotta share. This was actually in the last chapter. It was when Battler was talking with Regalia. So when they played one of the songs, it was the meaning of the epitaph, and then they played another one, and it was the meaning of the murders. And then the last song is dead angle, and in parentheses it says both are meaningless.
Dang.
Okay, that's it. Oh, this chapter is called Revenge for 19 Years Ago, by the way.
Oh boy.
Unable to bear a successor, I was in a very difficult position with regards to the Ushiromiya family. Whenever I heard of a drug or incense that could make you achieve pregnancy, I tried it, but nothing had any effect. Until I was blessed with Jessica 18 years ago. I was ashamed to even call myself a wife.
That was fast.
Children are created by the efforts of two people and the whims of heaven. It's not fair to place all the blame on yourself.
I still don't know what caused my inability to become pregnant. I even went to see noted physicians. I underwent humiliating examinations. But I was always just told that they didn't understand the reason.
Even though quite some time had passed since your marriage, you still couldn't bear a child. I see. It's only natural that Ava, who secretly aspired to become the successor, would start getting ideas.
Ava tried to convince Father that I was a failure as the successor's wife. It was a time when Kinzo was also very disappointed by my husband's repeated business failures. On the other hand, Ava's husband Hideyoshi's business was growing well, completely the opposite of my husband's. He was the only person who could bring Father good news. So, perhaps Father couldn't be blamed if he decided to lend an ear to Ava's words, or even accept them completely. It was all my fault, because I couldn't bear a child.
You are sinless. Aren't babies of this country carried here by storks? If anyone is to be judged, blame the stork.
Thank you. However, even though he was still in good health then, the head was already well past his prime, and it's not hard to imagine that he wanted to see his grandchildren's faces as soon as possible.
Who cares? If he wanted a grandchild, he could have just done what he wanted with that appalling amount of money he had. This is Kinzo, the man who always bragged about how money could create anything. If he wanted a grandchild, why couldn't he just manage something with that money he was so proud of?
Yes, that's right. The head gave up on me when I couldn't bear a child, and did just that.
I don't know if it's ever confirmed, but I have a sneaking suspicion the reason they couldn't have a child is Krause's fault. How about you? I'm starting to wonder.
I mean, it would track. But like, I feel like it wasn't for a lack of trying.
Well, no, I just think he might have had something wrong himself, and he didn't bother to go get looked.
Perhaps.
Which is really funny because chalk that up to another one of the unfortunate Krause L's.
Yep.
The head gave to many charities, thinking it the duty of anyone in possession of so much money. One among these, an orphanage known as the Fukuin House, had been given especially large donations, possibly because he had old ties with that place.
Ah, the Fukuin House. Furniture came from that place quite often.
To provide on-the-job training and preparation for life as a working adult, the head employed Fukuin House children with exceptional grades as servants. All of the servants in the mansion with on in their names, such as Shannon, Canon, Lunon, Manon, and Leon, came from there.
There were quite a lot of them, weren't there? Though most quit after just a few years.
That's probably because a few years of wages from working here would earn them more than enough to live on their own. Experience as a servant for the Ushiromiya family would be a wonderful thing to add to their resume. I'm sure it was the head's ambition that they would gain this for themselves and then spread their wings in society.
I see. So an adopted child.
Father! What did you just say?
Except this baby is my grandchild.
Oh, there.
Apparently, the baby that Kumasawa was trying to soothe didn't like the study air at all. It kept on crying, upset.
My apologies, Father. What is it you just...
Accept this baby as my grandchild, and raise it to be the one who succeeds Krause.
In other words, you want me to raise this baby as me and my husband's own child?
That's right. It's clear now that you cannot bear children. There must be some sort of defect in your body.
Oh, there. Oh, there.
As though she couldn't hear our discussion in the slightest, Kumasawa kept on trying to cuddle the baby. This made it cry even louder.
What nonsense. If all responsibility of giving birth to children rested with a woman, there'd be no need for men in this world.
I've never forgotten the bitter pain I felt that day. It's not as though I didn't want a child. However, no matter how much I prayed, I couldn't get pregnant. Thinking that something to do with my body might be the cause, I went to several famous doctors. But even so, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't become pregnant.
And in the end, this was the result. I see.
The baby had been picked up by the Fukuin house just recently. Of course, you couldn't help but feel compassion for this child, who was so young and who already lost its parents' affection.
However, it brought me nothing but pain and sadness. It would have been another story if I had suffered to bear this child, but why should I be forced to hold this baby, who not only shared none of my blood, but who was not related to my husband in the slightest either? I don't hate Father. If anything, I hated my own body. I detested it. I truly detested my own body for being unable to bear a child. So I prayed. I prayed to both angels and demons, and my wishes were granted by both.
For what did you pray to angels?
I prayed for a miracle in my body. If there was something wrong with my body, I could accept that. In that case, I wanted to overcome that defect and somehow be granted the miracle of being given my husband's child.
That wish was granted. The next year, you gave birth to Jessica. And for what did you pray to demons?
I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. I hated my body. So, I hated this baby. Because it made my failure so apparent.
What did you wish for?
For the first time, I prayed and made wishes to demons. I wished that this baby would just disappear. Of course, that wish was also granted by demons. On that day, I left the baby with an older servant and went to think about the future in the rose garden. No, that's a lie. I didn't want to think about anything. The baby's cries were annoying, so I ordered the servant to take the baby to a place where I couldn't hear. By a place where I couldn't hear, I meant somewhere far away. Yes, I wished for it. I wished for the servant to take the baby far away and never return.
I see. So, a passing demon heard your wish, Natsuhi-sama.
And then, what happened next?
After that, there was a bizarre accident that could only have been granted me by a demon. The woodland path from the rose garden to the harbor is probably well suited for a comfortable walk. It must surely feel good to occasionally leave the path and walk through a grove of trees, depending on your mood. However, wouldn't that path be fairly hard to travel on, taking a walk with a baby in your arms? There was a cliff on the other side. It was about 10 meters tall, I think. It was rocky below. There was also a fence there. Does it seem at all likely that the servant went to the trouble of walking there holding a baby, and then leaned against the fence? The only conceivable explanation is that she was lured there by the beckoning of a demon.
She was lured there, wasn't she? By a demon who heard your wish.
And then, the servant and the baby.
They died. They fell from the cliff down to the rocks below. No, they died because I wished it. That means this is...
It isn't your fault. There's no need to think about it any further.
But it happened because I wished it.
No, that's wrong. Even if you wish for something, whether it comes true or not is decided by the whims of gods, demons, and witches. You are sinless. Humans are sinless. You can even say that I killed them. No, I did kill them. I saw your mourning and felt pity, so I lured the servant with the baby to the cliff and guided them down it.
Wasn't it just an unfortunate accident? If you can't accept it as an accident, blame it on us. That's why demons exist.
That's right. We are here for your sake. It's not like you killed them. We killed them. So you are sinless. So please, don't blame yourself, Natsuhi.
Is that true? Am I truly sinless?
Yeah, you are. Young one who claims revenge for the events of 19 years ago. If you're going to curse someone, curse me. However, witches have a patent on curses. Let me take on this fight you're trying to pick with Natsuhi. I am the Ushiromi family alchemist, Beatrice the Golden. If anyone picks a fight with the master I serve, I will fight in my master's stead. Revenge for 19 years ago, you say? I'll show you that such is hardly a blink of an eye for a witch who's lived 1,000 years. So, you hate Natsuhi for wishing your death 19 years ago? Let me make you remember just who it was that lured you off that cliff.
As the middle-aged female servant cuddled the sobbing baby, she walked on a small path through the trees. Natsuhi had told her that the baby was too loud, so she had tried to get as far from the rose garden as she could. She was completely unaware as to why she'd gone out of her way to head this direction. However, the sobbing baby suddenly stopped crying. Something was reflected in its eyes, but the servant couldn't tell what. However, thinking that the baby had stopped because it had taken an interest in something, she headed in the direction of the baby's gaze. The baby had seen a cloud of gold butterflies disappearing off into the trees. And, on the other side of the trees, the servant could see a woman. Who? She didn't recognize this person, but it didn't look like anyone who was supposed to be here. The baby stopped crying and stared in that direction. Then, the servant's legs started to automatically carry her that way.
Come this way, woman. Bring that cursed baby with you.
The woman couldn't disobey. She was completely overwhelmed by Beato's gold-glowing eyes. She walked lightly, as though through a dream world. At some point, the scenery surrounding her had changed, but she did not notice. She could not notice. Though this should have been Rokkenjima, at some point it had become the garden of a mansion she had never seen before. It was a garden she had never set eyes on, even grander than the great rose garden of the Ushiromi family, a garden full of gold roses. There stood an arbor, and a woman wearing an elegant dress beckoning to her. There was a man who looked like a butler, and the tea he poured with a beautiful gesture had a very nice and enticing smell. It was as though they were telling her to join their tea party. She couldn't disobey. She had to go to the master of this golden rose garden and give this child as an offering.
Forgive me, woman. Curse your bad luck for being entranced by a witch. And surrounded by these gold roses, which you would never be able to enjoy in this world, sleep. Agab. Yes, understood.
When Gop snapped her fingers, a pitch-black hole opened at the woman's feet and she was swallowed up along with the baby. The scene of the moment that followed must have burned itself into the eyes of the woman and the baby. The two floated in the air and looked down at the gold rose garden spread out below them. Below their feet was not the earth, but a golden rose garden that stretched as far as the eye could see without any gaps. No, there's one gap.
One gap.
If one could have this scene imprinted in their minds as their last memory, that would be such a merciful way to die. Then, the woman and the baby were swallowed up by the golden sea. The thunk was remarkably plain, and remarkably quiet for a sound that stole away 2 lives. However, it made for a perfectly suitable show at a tea party of witches. With the woman at the baby and the baby at the center, the rose garden was slowly swallowed up by darkness. The sound of the wind grew stronger bit by bit. Is that TV static? What is that noise? It was the roar of the sea. This is the CG for the title screen.
Ooh.
The two who had fallen into the thicket of golden roses from that great height and died were gradually wrapped up in the roar of the sea, wrapped up in the scenery of the beach below the cliff.
I guarantee it. You are completely sinless. I'll accept this revenge from 19 years ago.
When I spotted the 2 of them on the rocks below, I went pale. Then I dashed back to the mansion, and there was a huge uproar. They took them to a hospital in a boat as soon as possible, but from that height it was a miracle that they had even avoided an instant death. Both the servant and the baby died. In less than 3 days from the time Father had entrusted me with the baby, I had killed it. My husband had been on a business trip. Rosa-san, who had still lived on the island at the time, had been traveling with her friends. Father and I were the only ones on Rokkenjima. And before anyone except Father and I really knew anything, a baby had appeared out of nowhere and then disappeared again. That's right. It was a dream. A nightmare. I was sure that Father would blame me. However, he seemed somehow strange.
I saw this coming. I knew this would happen. How long will you struggle? How long will it be before you're mine? I have no interest in an empty cage. Throw it away!
When Father learned of the accidental death, he kept on laughing and laughing, as though there could be no greater pleasure. Enough that just listening to it gave me a creepy feeling. Perhaps something had come loose in his mind. From that day onwards, Father shut himself up inside the world of the occult, even more than he ever had before. When my husband came back, he was surprised to see that Father was even more bizarre than he had been before. However, he had already accepted that this would happen sooner or later. Of course, my husband had heard about the baby. However, he told me that it was surely just some whim of Father's and to forget it. So, I forgot it! It was an unfortunate accident. No, there wasn't an accident at all. I forgot everything. Even that the baby had existed in the first place. After all, it was a twisted nightmare that had lasted not even 3 days.
Dang.
That's right. It was all a nightmare. I don't want to remember. The cliff, the broken fence, the roar of the sea, and the cry of the baby.
So, this baby is the baby from 19 years ago? Of course not. I killed that baby. It no longer exists in this world.
However, there is no red truth in the human world. Nothing can be trusted there.
That's right. Beato definitely killed that baby. However, you might find out that it's alive in the world of the humans. Whether it's really alive or not, right?
Do you mean to say that it actually survived? After falling to the rocks from that height?
I don't know. But calm down. No matter how much this person hates you, it was an accident, and that's the truth. If he does hate you, his hatred is completely unjustified.
But, even if I didn't lay a finger on him, inside my heart I...
Calm down. No matter who the man from 19 years ago hates, or what he yells at you, there's no way the sin he's after actually occurred. So calm down. Why don't I welcome the man from 19 years ago as my guest? Just when the riddle was solved and I thought my job was finished, I've got to entertain this final guest of mine. Yeah.
This begins to grow more interesting. Not only are you protecting Lord Goldsmith's secret, but you also have a 19th guest, as well as a man from 19 years ago.
True, since we claim that Kinzo is alive, Erika is the 19th person. And besides that 19th person, we also have a man from 19 years ago. How interesting, I'm getting all fired up. We have no lack of opponents. And I was just lamenting the fact that I had but one guest at my tea party. Come, you fools.
Furudo Erika is Lady Berncastell's piece. In that case, whose piece is the man from 19 years ago?
Mine, sorry.
Me accidentally putting my checker piece on the board?
Mm-hmm.
The voice faintly seeping from the other end of the line was Natsuhi's.
I understand. I'll go to sleep right now. I won't leave my room and I won't pick up the phone. So don't involve my husband and daughter.
Even this begging scream, which would shake the heart of any listener, could be listened to with a cold ruthlessness through the end of the receiver. As long as you follow my orders, I will keep your secret, Mother. Do not disobey me. I am already very close by to you. I can easily tell whether you have turned your lights off or whether you are on the phone. If I wished to, I could even kiss your sleeping face.
I will keep it. I'll keep my promise. So stop it. Just stop it. Stop it!
The receiver was slammed down. He knew very well that the way you hang up a phone can leave a nasty aftertaste for the other side.
Okay, good night, Mother. And there you have it. Now Natsuhi won't come out of her room tonight.
That's pretty handy. You can change your voice.
Anyone can change their voice. A sweet voice when coaxing Papa. A sick-sounding voice when taking the day off school. An apologetic voice when turning down a friend that you actually hate. If you want, I can do any kind of voice at all. Got it?
You should stop being a witch and become a voice actress.
So are all the pieces set up on both sides now? Furudo Erika. What a wonderful piece. She's a much more suitable piece for you than Anje was, Burn.
She's here! I'm scared!
Your praise honors me, Lady Lambda Delta. The pleasure is mine. She really is wonderful. Truly cute. I'd like to make her surrender to the illusion of the witch and see her face twist in humiliation.
Impossible. She operates purely on facts and logic.
Hear that? Don't embarrass me, okay? Prove yourself to be a much more useful piece than Anja was.
Yes, leave it to me, Lady Barncastel, my master. I'm nothing like that gloomy, dull-witted, totally uncute piece.
You keep my wife's name out your mouth.
She's right. That Anja didn't do anything useful except get turned into meat chunks to egg Battler on. I have absolutely no interest in family love or sibling love. The game we want to see is more gruesome and sticky.
Ew.
Grotesque, pop, and cute murder case.
Sticky.
If Natsuhi is the king, then I wonder if that makes Beato the queen. Huh. The pack of witches and furniture guarding Natsuhi is like a set of chess pieces, or is less like a set of chess pieces and more like...
Bowling pins, right? Natsuhi and Beato, Kinzo and illusions of the worthless furniture. Entertain us a bit, will ya? Especially you, Beato. We're already bored of you. This Legend of the Witch Murders game of yours is over already. Your time is over and done with. This game board already belongs to Byrne and me. It'll suit you to be reduced to one of our pieces and toyed with for all eternity.